Don't hang up that phone. We've found what you're looking for. Welcome to the Let's Talk Cabling Podcast with Chuck Bowser, RCDD. Well, seeing how we're pulling Category 6A, the most powerful twisted pair in the world, you gotta ask yourself this one question. Did I pull 295 or 300 feet? Well, do you feel lucky? Do you, punk? What exactly does RCDD stand for? Registered Communications Distribution Designer. Just the expert you need to ensure your cable plant performs exactly as designed. The elite professional, knowledgeable, and experienced in leading-edge ICT design principles. Now, send the new guy to the truck for a bucket of dial tone and the cable stretchers, while you listen to an informative program on telecommunications.
Welcome. Oops, here we go. There we go. Thursday night, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I feel like there's something I should be doing tonight. I'm on vacation tomorrow. I'm on vacation day tomorrow. Yeah, but I'm having the meetup tomorrow, so don't forget that. Teresa is in the house. Hello, Teresa. How are you doing, my friend? Why don't you come on the show? Tonight's a special episode. I'm inviting people to join me on the live stream. Unscripted. It's going to be chaos, mayhem. Because I don't know what we're going to talk about. We may not talk about anything. I don't know. So make sure you see down here in the corner. She says https bit.ly/AHL after hours live guest, all caps, bit.ly AHL guest. So make sure you join on. I need some people to join. I only have like one question tonight. If you don't, this is going to be a short show because I only have one question that was submitted to me. Right. So I guess because of Christmas and stuff like that. So Manuel is in the house. Hello, Manuel. How you doing, my friend? Let me put back on the other caption. There we go. All right. So let's just go and get on with the regular stuff, right? So we could get caught up. So if you're just joining, there's a link down there right here in the very corner. There it is right there. See it? Want to join tonight? You are the guest. You are the guest. Hop on. Let's talk. Let's get the normal stuff out of the way first, though, right? First off, what are you drinking? Put in the chat box down there. Put in the chat box down here. What are you drinking? Again, tonight, I am drinking water. Water. I was teaching class today, literally till about 5:15, 5:30. I mean, I taught the class to the very end. So just water. Here's my drink from today. Whenever I teach, my voice always gets really dry and hoarse. So I always got to keep drinking water. What are you drinking tonight? Make sure you put it in the chat box. So Jorge is drinking coffee. And what's people drinking on the other streams, right? Let's look over here in the chat box, right? Nobody else is drinking anything. So I guess it's just me drinking tonight. All righty. Well, there you go. So let's talk about the, I forgot to mention the QR code. The QR code. So on the screen here in just about 2 seconds, once I flip over to the graphics page, then the graphics page, there we go. See that QR code right there? Right there. There you go. Click on that QR code. Buy me a cup of coffee. You can schedule 15 minutes with me after hours, of course. You can even make donations. You can link to all the podcasts. Please go there. Please check it out. Help support the show. I'm working on other ways to support the show. I wonder if I should leave that up there. I might leave that there. Yep. Oh, yeah. I'm going to leave it there for right now. So, yeah, schedule me one-on-one after hour Zoom call. Buy me a cup of coffee. Oh, the acronym challenge. The acronym challenge. Today's acronym is EDA. EDA. What does EDA stand for? Anybody know? EDA. What does that acronym stand for? I wish I could play my Jeopardy theme music, but I can't. I might get hit with a copyright violation because you know how YouTube is. Pfft. EDA, right? Shotzi is in the house. Shuda 305 is in the house. Hello, Shuda. I hope all is well too. Hey, again, make sure tonight is you are the guest. Type in that link down in the lower corner. Come on and be a guest. So anyway, the acronym challenge, equipment. I already gave you the first word, didn't I? So nobody guessed it. I will tell you. EDA stands for Equipment Distribution Area. Equipment Distribution Area. Shooter says electromodal activity. Nope. Equipment Distribution Area. Electric Design says Big Daddy. Nope. It's Equipment Distribution Area. It's typically found in data centers. Data centers. Yeah. So that is the acronym challenge for today. Let's go and clear that. I can't wait till my wife starts helping me with this stuff. She was supposed to help tonight, but she's working late. So Chuck's doing it by himself. The Motivational Minute. Today's Motivational Minute comes from Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins. His quote is, setting goals is the first step in turning the invisible into the visible. Let me ask you a question. I want you to put this in the chat box. What's your goals? What are your goals? If you don't have goals, you're just putzing through life. You should have short-term goals. You should have long-term goals, right? So, for example, my short-term goal is to increase my listenership on the podcast. My long-term goal is to eventually have paid content. Let's see, short-term goal, long-term goal. What's your goals? Put it in the chat box. Let's share with us. Help people come up with goals, right? You got to have a goal, because if you don't have a goal, you are just putzing through life, right? Just putzing through life. Hey, did you catch last week's show? Yeah, last week's show. I had an interesting show on sound masking. I had WP Electric and Communications come on. It was Chris Germany and something Tremmel. I can't remember his first name. And we talked about what is sound masking? What is equipment? What kind of cabling? Is it something a low voltage contractor can do? Right? Short term. Right? How do you find low voltage? How do you find that sound masking work? What all is involved in the design, in the installation, in the sales? We covered a lot. It was actually a good show. Big Daddy says short term, increase accounts, long term, advance the life safety technology. Those are great ones, Big Daddy. Great tips. Great tips. As you know, I am on my journey to hit 1,000 subs on Facebook. 1,000 subs on Facebook. I think I'm at like 940 something right now. 941, 942, 943, something like that. I don't know the exact. 944. That's the number. I wrote it down in my notes. 944. I want to hit 1,000. That's my shortest term goal. I want to hit 1,000 subs before Christmas. 1,000. There's no benefit to having 1,000 subs on YouTube. It's just a mental goal, right? So if you haven't already subbed on my YouTube channel, Let's Talk Cabling, please go over there. Please subscribe to it. If you know somebody who might benefit from low voltage stuff, recommend it to them. Recommend it to them. As I mentioned, tonight's show is a very special show. You are the guest. You are the guest. But in order to be the guest, you've got to put in this link down here in the bottom left of my screen, bit.ly/AHL guest, all caps, AHL guest. Okay. If you want to come on the show and talk to me, we can talk about anything. We can talk about installation, certification, copper, fiber. Like I said, I might not, I might be asking more than I can handle, but what the heck, right? Shooter 305 says, long-term, pass my CCNA, CompTIA, plus my network exams. I want to be a data center or network administrator. Those are fantastic goals, Shooter 305. And you do know I'm coming to Miami, right? We're looking at, where 75 kind of comes down and does that dog leg and goes west and it's right there in the like Miami, Fort Lauderdale. That's where I'm going to have the meetup. I just haven't picked the place yet. Once I pick the place, I'll put that out there for everybody, right? So again, if you're on the show, you're the guest. Now, in order so we have some reasonable sense of decency here, I have some rules if you do decide to come on tonight. The first rule is please use clean language, okay? I don't know if you noticed, I try not to use any obscene words on my podcast. I'm not saying I don't say them. When I hit my thumb with a hammer, I'm going to say one. And that's just the way it is, right? And also make sure you're a place where you can record, right? So if you're on a job site somewhere where they don't allow recordings, don't get on the show, right? If you're in an area that's really noisy stuff that you're going to have hard conversation, then don't join the show, right? No bad talking anybody. especially the host, right? Be respectful of diverse opinions, and most importantly, have fun. Those are the rules. So to get on the show, all you got to do is just type that bit.ly/AHL guest. That's what you got to do to join the show. Okay. So like I said, I only have one question. After this question, if nobody joins on the show, it might be a really, really short show. This question comes from Old Brooder on Instagram. And he wants to know, when I finished Cat 6A, is it okay to do it with an RJ45 termination with a keystone jack on the other end? So from what I understand here is he's running cable. I don't know if it's in a commercial environment or a residential environment. So he's running some cable, and he's putting a keystone jack on the work area outlet side, and evidently sounds to me like he doesn't want to put in a patch panel. He wants to crimp on an AP8C and RJ45 and plug it right into the equipment. Okay. Now, he asked me if that's okay. Well, there's nothing in code that prohibits that. Nothing in code. But remember, code is for safety, not for performance. Now, the standards tell us, and the best practice that you find in the Bixie manuals and stuff, they tell us you really should have a patch panel on the other side. And the reason for that is because it helps with moves, adds, changes. It's a lot more consistent termination when you're punching down with a punch tool. The RJ45s or the AP8C mod end connectors, those crimp on things, they're not really resilient, and you can have a lot of issues with them. So it's best to do a patch panel and then buy a factory patch cord, and they make small little patch panels, right? They make like the 66 block brackets with the panels that fit right into that. So you don't need a full rack and a full patch panel, right? You can do it with one of those small ones, right? When you terminate with that RJ45 and that horizontal cross connect, it's not as resilient. It's not as resilient because, again, you're crimping it on the cable. If you happen to bend it or knock it, you could actually cause something to go loose, cause you some issues. As a matter of fact, that's why when you talk about MPTLs, modular plug terminated link, right? That's why you have, when you install that, they do allow you to use a mod end connector on one side. But when you test it, you have to use a permanent link adapter on one side and a patch cord adapter on the other side. That's because they understand that the weakest link in that right there is the connector that you crimped on the end, right? That's the weakest link. Now, with all this being said, standards are voluntary. Could you use a few keystones as a patch panel? Yeah, but then what would the keystones be attached to, right? They'd be just kind of hanging there, right? They do make keystone patch panels that use a regular connector that you can plug in. And they make some small ones too. Or what you could even do is you could even put like I don't know how big his network is. If it's only a couple drops, you can buy a service mount box and put in 2, 4, maybe even 6 in that, and then run a patch cord from that over, right? But with that being said, remember, standards are voluntary. Oh, keystone faceplate. If it's a small job, if it's like in his house and he's only got 2 or 3 jobs, sure, I don't see an issue with that. But with the standards, man, they're voluntary. Now, will it work if you put a keystone jack on the work area outlet side, and then you put the and you turn the mod end connector and plug it in? Sure, it'll work. Well, most likely it'll work. I can't guarantee that it'll work, right? But if you're a professional installer, you really should be terminating on a patch panel. It should be done in what's called a neat and workmanlike manner. Right? Again, if you want to join the show, there's the link right there. Type in that link right there and be on the show. You can be a guest and talk to me personally. So I do have one question that came in. Let me see here. This is from Shuda. Since I am new to the industry and I'm making a career change from an HR background, do you know someone who can assist me to putting together low voltage resume? I'll help you with that, Shuda. Yeah, just send me a message where I can send you my email, and I'll help you with that. My friend. Absolutely. Somebody says Rev Connect whips. Yeah, that could do it too. I'm just not a big fan of the whips, to be honest with you. So there you go. That was the only question I had. So again, Come on, somebody come on the show and talk to me, man. We don't even have to talk about the show. Just come on and hang out with me. Just come on and hang out with me. All you gotta do is type in that link. Come in and say, hey, Chuck, how you doing? Appreciate what you're doing. Right? Because I don't have any other questions. I guess Christmas time, people are taking off and all that fun stuff. Let me see. Where can 13 Serpents is in the house? Hello, 13 Serpents. What can we do to make Sparkies consider pipe fill? I'm always ripping 8 cat 6 3/4 inch conduit. That is a great question, my friend. Okay. So realistically, the number of cables you can put in a conduit depends on the cable's outside diameter. You can't just say cat 6, right? Because there's different size cat 6 cables, right? So you got to look up. There's a lot of great fill ratio calculators out there. Leventon has one. There's a lot of them out there that you can grab and use and calculate the stuff. Here's the challenge, 13 Serpents. I need to know more about the working situation. Are you on a job site where the end user is paying you to put in the low voltage and then they're paying the GC to build the place? And the electrician works for the GC? Or are they paying you to do the low voltage and they're paying the electrician to do some work as well? Right? So that's the question. Now, the real question is, how do you talk a Sparky into doing this? So let me say this. Again, by the way, if you want to join the show, type in that link right here and come on the show. So if it's a situation where you're doing the low voltage and you're working for the customer, and the customer is paying a GC to build the new floor space, and the electrician works for them, you need to go to the customer, and you need to tell the customer, look, for 8 category 6 cables, I need an 1.25 inch pipe, or even bigger. Again, depending on the size, I'd have to run the calculations. And when they say, well, that's going to cost more money, just explain to them, look, you can pay me now or you can pay me later. Because if the cable's too small, you're going to have to pull pretty hard on that cable to get it through that conduit. That's going to stretch the copper. It's going to stretch the conductor. It's going to change their gauge. It could change the twist rates. All of that is going to affect the performance. Now, it may not affect the performance. If you pull too hard, it'll literally break a conductor. But it may not be, you may not pull that hard. You might pull where you just untwist. Now what happens is you've got a performance issue. So I see somebody already came in. I'll bring you on in just a second. So now you need to calculate, okay, now because you're downloading large documents, because we stretch these cables out, how much time over 15 years or 20 years is this going to cost you? If the electrician is working directly for the end user, you can do the same thing as well. That's a fight that we are always fighting. It's not something new, unfortunately, to our world. So let's bring on, I don't know who this is, but we'll bring him on anyway. All right, you are on the show, Mr. Ingarius. Did I say that right? You there? Hello? You are live on the show. What's your question, my friend? Hello?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know I was live. Hey, how you doing, Chuck?
You are live. You are live on Let's Talk Cabling After Hours Live. First off, what are you drinking?
You know I'm drinking lemonade.
There's nothing wrong with drinking lemonade. Chuck's drinking water. But after I get off the show, it might be something different.
Right. I understand. Hey, great to be on your show. It caught me off guard. I was trying to put my question in the type. I had a question, if you don't mind. It's
Fire
an
away.
RCDD question about slots and sleeves. And I'm trying to understand, there was a specification that says that a slot, you need you have a 4+1, but that extra one is in regards to additional 40,000 square feet. Now I'm trying to understand, how do you specify more slots as the level of floors increase? Like, say if you have a floor building, how many slots how do you measure for that, or how do you specify for that?
So just use the calculation. You're actually referencing the TDM. I know the exact spot you're referencing.
Yeah.
I don't have it open at the moment because I do study groups, and that's usually one of the questions we hit all the time. So there's the calculation in it, which tells you the square footage and tells you the size. By the way, I hate slots. I'm just gonna put that out there right now. I hate slots. I would much rather do a sleeve any day of the week. Slots are a lot harder to fire stop and keep that fire stop integrity there, unless you go with the cementuous stuff. But then with that, you got to worry about the thermal expansion and a bunch of other stuff. But getting to your question about the calculation, just follow the calculation in the guideline. You got to figure out what the square footage of the floor is. And somebody says, I think you're confusing slots with sleeves. It's Jasmine. Hey, Jasmine, come on the show, Jasmine. No, I'm talking about slots.
Right.
I don't like slots. Right. But yeah, there's a calculation in there. Just look at the total workspace of the total usable area of the space. Start off with the initial 4, and then go add your 1 for every 1,000 square feet I can't remember stipulates off the top of my head. And then you just keep adding on to it.
Oh yeah, it is sleeves. She is right. Jasmine is right. It is sleeves, not slots.
Yep. Oh, gotcha.
Yeah,
yes,
you're right. Thank you.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, so I'll wait for that later. But yeah, just wanted to bring that to your attention. I probably will circle back to that.
Yep.
So forth. But thanks.
Maybe Jasmine. Maybe we could talk Jasmine into coming on the show. Come on, Jasmine.
Yeah, she.
Come on, Jasmine.
Yeah, we got that part 4 + 1, but it's like, so if the floor size is always the same, do you increase it per?
I would always increase it. Always build for more. Always build for more.
Okay.
Let me bring Daryl on the show too. That way we have a little bit of everybody on here today. I didn't think I'd have anybody coming on the show. Daryl, how are you doing today?
What's going on, man?
Same old, living the dream. What's your question for tonight?
Wanted to see if it was going to work.
You think I would put a link and invite people on and not actually bring people on?
No, I'm actually talking across Starlink network. So,
that's cool.
Surprised
That's cool.
It's working.
Yes, that is cool. Jasmine's asking how. Jasmine, on the lowest corner of the screen, there's a link. Type in that link and come on the show. So, I didn't know that you could do that over Starlink. That's absolutely interesting. Hey, yeah. I got to ask you, what are you drinking?
Tonight it is water because tomorrow I'm going to Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, and I will be visiting 17 moonshine distilleries between now and Tuesday.
I am jealous. It's funny because when I tell people I'm drinking water, they always say, "Is that moonshine?" Like, yeah, if this is moonshine, this show would be a little bit different. Just
I'm hydrating myself because I'm going to be dehydrating myself the next couple of days.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So did you have any questions about communications or career path or?
Well, I just wanted to call in and say I really appreciate everything you do for the industry, man.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
I'm not sure how you and I have never met. I've been in low voltage. I got certified on my first phone system in 1983, and I was based out of Falls Church. And I've been in the DC metro my entire life.
Who did you work for?
At that point, I was working for my dad. He had a small company, about 15 guys. We did PBX installs.
Gotcha.
But I've worked for CTSI, and now I work at the big 5-sided loony bin. So
yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. So I've spent the majority of my communication career. I'll bring you on in just a second, Ricky. I spent the majority of my communications career in the DC area. Okay. I started off with a small little company called Custom Computer Cable. They used to be in Alexandria, but now I think they're in not Falls Church, over by Dulles. I think they're over by Dulles now. And then I worked for another company called TCI, Telecommunications Concepts Incorporated, out of Springfield. And then I worked for Heckles and McCoy. So I've spent a lot of time in that 5-sided loony bin that you talked about because we were part of the Penryn project.
Yeah, so, I'm there every day. My current job is like the dream job for a RCDD telegeeky kind of guy. I'm responsible for cleanup and recertification of all 794 telecommunications rooms in that building. So,
wow.
I'll be retiring from this gig.
I hear you, and that's kind of one of the reasons why I started the podcast is because I've said the story many times. I've heard people talking about how the industry is getting older and stuff like that, and I'm going to be retiring soon too. But That's the whole reason I'm doing this, because I want to help the next generation. I really do. So
Yeah, I volunteer at a trade school down in Spotsylvania County
okay.
a couple times a year and go into they have an electricity class, and I go in and
Oh,
talk to
nice.
the kids learning electricity about possibly going into low voltage. So.
There you go. Thank you for what you're doing. You got to make this job seem sexy to them, right? So they want to do it.
And actually, it is pretty cool.
Everybody wants to be an influencer. And I'm telling you right now, as a content creator, there's a lot of work on the backside people don't tell you about. A lot of work. Ricky Does Cable is in the house. Ricky, how you doing, my friend? You're live, Ricky. Hello. Ricky. He's there. I don't know why he's not talking, but he just dropped off. Now he's coming back on again.
Hear me?
You there, Ricky?
Hey, Chuck, can you hear me?
I can hear you now, my friend. How you doing, buddy?
Good, man. Hey, Brian Hansen says hi, by the way.
I'll tell Brian I said hello.
Will do. Hey, Chuck. Yeah, I just had some questions. Actually, mine's more about labeling.
Okay.
I'm like I said, I think we're in, like I said, I'm 22, so I'm kind of new to the industry. I've been doing it for maybe like 3 or 4 years towards my RCDD. But
okay.
one of the things I'm just having trouble figuring out, man, is labeling and what the standard kind of is. And I imagine it kind of varies from site to site. But like, yeah, go on.
Go ahead. No, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
Well, we're doing like 19 offices for a bigger ag company, and each around 300 drops. And like I said, I'm spearheading the company, so they obviously they have their idea of a labeling scheme, but we want to put a standard. And I guess it's one of those things where I'm like, I guess my question is, how would you do it? What would you do?
I would follow the standards. Now, here's the thing, right? So when it comes to labeling, first off, let me start with this. Standards are voluntary. And the most ignored standard we have is the administration standard. That is the most ignored standard we have. When you talk about labeling, customers generally fall into one of about 4 or 5 categories, right? The first category is they don't care what you label it. They're the office manager. All they know is somebody from corporate IT called and said, look, there's going to be some cable guys showing up today. You got to sign their ticket. You show up. They have time. They're like, oh, yeah, you know what you're doing, right? You know what you're doing? Yeah, go do it.
Yep.
Come see me when you're done. I don't care what you label it. Then the second type of customers, they want everything labeled sequentially. Drop number 1, drop number 2, drop number 3, and they want it to show up on the patch panel 1, 2, 3, right? That's another way. Then another way they like to do is by room numbers. And I've never understood the whole room number thing, because room numbers change. It doesn't make sense. Room numbers change.
Exactly.
Right. And on top of that, here's another layer of complexity. I promise I haven't been drinking moonshine. I promise.
Man.
Let's say you've got a room. Let's say you got room 105 and you're putting in 2 drops, right? What are you going to label those 2 drops if you're labeling by the room number, right? 105A, 105B.
105D. Then it gets confusing because you have 105-7D, D11.
They got added later on, but they're nowhere near 105A and B on the racks, are they?
Exactly. They're like spread down the patch panel.
Yep. And then there's the customer who thought up some numbering sequence all on their own, and they're the only ones who know how to decipher because they've got the magic decoder rings, right? You know what I'm talking about? This is cable Alpha Bravo 394 if it's a full-blooded harvest moon and an odd number year, but only if there's a Republican in the White House, right? Just what? Can you explain that one to me again? Right? The standards are pretty simple. The standard breaks labeling down into 4 classifications: Class 1, Class 2, Class 3, and Class 4. A Class 1 job is going to be a premise served by a single equipment room. Class 2 is going to be a single job with multiple rooms. The difference between Class 1 and Class 2: Class 1 has backbone in it. I'm sorry, Class 1 has no backbone. Class 2 has backbone. Class 3 is going to be a campus environment. Class 4 will be a like going across multiple sites. Like, for example, I'm in Tampa. Daryl's in Virginia. And I don't remember where you said you were. So we're in 3 different cities. So if we each had our own office, that would be a Class 4 kind of a job. So depending on which classification you fall under, the standards tells you which components to label. So for class 1, you got to label the telecom space, the telecom room, the cable, the fire, no, not the fire stop. I'm doing this all off the top of my head. Hold on. The fire stop, in the fire stops. Class 2, you got to label all those. The building backbone cable, the backbone pair or optical fiber. Class 3, you got to do all those, plus the campus backbone pair or optical fiber, and the building. Class 4, you got to do all those and the campus. So let's say, for example, you want to label, you got a customer. They got a big floor. It's got 2 closets, right?
Yes.
Now, somewhere on this floor, there's an imaginary dividing line, right? Where the cables on this side of the line will go to closet A. The cables on this side will go to closet B. Okay. So in that scenario, I would label, for example, 1B, first floor, B closet. Okay. So now that technician knows which closet to go to. Now, it doesn't have to be B. It could be, closet 1, or it can be any designation. It doesn't have to be A or B. I'm just using B as my example.
Well, let me shoot this at you. So here's the situation. Hide me from here. So there's 19 buildings. They're all in different miles away from each other. So there's no cross connects between the buildings. But each building is roughly identical. I recommend that they jump up to the 6A shielded cable, just because you're already spending most of your expense. Because they wanted to go with like a Cat 5E. I'm like, you're wasting your time. I meant to say, but we're actually doing a skinny. Siemens company actually makes a skinny GT cable. It certifies like a full 6A cable. It's just a skinnier version. It's kind of like a 0.27 gauge. So we did that for first off for and second off we did it for fill rate. We're gonna have 3 MDFs. We're gonna have give or take 3 across the whole building, and there's gonna be a backbone fiber to each one. That's an ohm 4, ohm 5. That's why I have planned right now.
Right.
That gives you a little bit more. Yeah.
So what I would do is, you say you got 3 closets, right? So for the horizontal cables, the first designator would be the telecom room.
Yes.
The second designator should be the rack unit that patch panel is terminated on, right?
Yes.
So if it's in the very top rack unit, that's rack unit 45. So it'd be B-45, and then if it's on port 1, it'd be -1. So it'd be B-45-1, right? That way, the technician knows.
Yeah, okay, I see what you mean now. Yes.
Yeah.
I see what you mean.
You can also use, you don't necessarily have to use the rack unit numbers, as long as you're consistent with the way you do it. Some people will actually label the patch panels, patch panel 1, patch panel 2, patch panel 3.
Some do panel A, panel B,
or A, B, C. Yeah, exactly right. One of the things I've never understood about our industry is patch panels come labeled. Why do we relabel the whole entire patch panel? Why not make those numbers that come from the factory on the patch, which, by the way, never fall off, right? And just make the patch panel part of that number, right? That's one thing I've never really.
Or they do like a D57 on a patch panel that makes. It's like you said, we're doing a lot of high density stuff, so I really like it because we can just do and then like a lot of our stuff is nice skinny patch stuff, so it looks really fancy and nice, consistent.
Gotcha. Well, we're at the. Yeah, I hear you. We're at the 30-minute mark. I tried to generally shut this down at 30 minutes. Daryl, I appreciate you coming on tonight. Ricky, I appreciate you coming on tonight as well. And then the other.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. And then also Ingenious. I appreciate you guys being on tonight. So this was actually more of a success than I thought it was going to be. Although I really wanted Jasmine to come on because she's one of my mentees and she just rocks this world, man. Until next time, everybody, remember, knowledge is power, right? Oh, I got to do my audio synchronization. There we go. That's what I do in post. I can make everything match up. See you next time, everybody. Take care.